These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Sandy Ingram. Sandy says, today is my last day of travel. As usual, I'm traveling with only 30,000 Iraqi dinar. I take the IQD with me everywhere I go because it could increase in value at any time. All right, Bruce via Wiser Now says, we talked about whether or not the rate of the Iraqi dinar would be in the printed Gazette on Wednesday, and we checked it, and yes, it was. It was according to our sources put in printed version of the Gazette, which means the RV actually happened on Wednesday in Iraq and throughout the Middle East, who were able to see and read the printed version of the Gazette in Arabic, and so they got started essentially on that day in the region of the world. Now, what about us? What we have heard, we will get started by Saturday. We also know on Saturday the plan is to put the rate of the Iraqi dinar out in the digital version of the Gazette. My understanding is that's the version people would be able to see internationally, so we are looking for a pretty big weekend. All right, Claire, article quote, House Foreign Affairs Committee will hold a hearing next week on repealing the law that made the 2003 Iraq invasion possible. Quote, the hearing scheduled for the 10 a.m. next Thursday is expected to address both the repeal of the 2002 authorization of the use of military force, AUMF, against Iraq and the replacement of the 2001 AUMF, according to one person familiar with the planning. Frank26 question, do you think VND will be close in the value to the dinar? Frank says not close to the same value, no. The Middle East has incredible power throughout their resources. If I was to see the Vietnamese currency go up in value, I would see their exchange rate going up to 5 cents, 10 cents. You may say, what? That's it? If you have some of their money, that's a major windfall. They could take it up more. Vietnam is slowly growing up. They're getting some feathers on those wings, but I don't think they'll ever leave the nest of China. Mark Z via PDK says, I saw some very impressive math in the early 2010s, maybe 2012, from an exceptional Iraqi source. They were pointing to a rate between $12.70-ish to $14.70-ish for the Iraqi dinar, based on the math for that day and time. A lot has changed since then with values and inflation, so I could definitely see that now. But I'm preparing myself for lower, hoping for higher. Since Vietnam and Iraq are trading partners, I feel if Iraq is high, then Vietnam rate would also be high. All right, Pimpy says we have gas approaching $6 in California. I think oil per barrel is above $95. I knew once Joe Biden used all of the oil reserves to try to hold prices down, this was going to happen. It was easy to predict, but on the plus side, the fact oil per barrel is above $95, this helps Iraq. As long as they stay above the projected amount they put into this budget, Iraq is rocking and rolling, and that is looking good. JSSMI765 says, as I was looking through all my old dinar-related documents, I came across one from 2012 which listed all the things that needed to take place for the RV to happen. Interestingly, it is only within the last few weeks or days that everything that was listed has finally been completed. I also found an old document from 2011 which was a Q&A with someone at Treasury who was the original planners of the RV. It was the reason I became a true believer back in the day. This is real, people. It's time. Lastly, we have Sampson with an article quote, the U.S. House of Representatives will hold a session next week to cancel the authorization for the invasion of Iraq.